of global networking, Mar in Tooni. And in this event, alongside with the Women History Month and International Women Days, we're going to share with you tips and tools on how you and your loved one can create a full spectrum, beautiful, thriving life, physically, for our environment and for each other, emotionally, creating the success and wealth you love, as well as in your physical and of course, it's part of life in our sexual health, as well as how we can connect more with each other. So tune in and then share your questions and thoughts in the comments. Connect with us individually as well. And so with this, I would love to start with you, Mar, being the global chairs of our global networking. Mar, how do you see connectivity and networking play a role in accomplishing gender parity, as well as creating a thriving world for all, for ourselves, as well as for all who we connect with?
Thank you so much, Brigitte, for inviting me, for creating this. And that question could be answered exactly the way you are. We have met because of networking. You create from individual action and then connected with a network that you create these spaces, inspire, empowering, not only the members of our club, but also creating an impact. Even that, the attitude, it doesn't matter how much impact do you have, because you would never know to who you are going to influence. And this is what happened in G100 network. We have people that really are able to influence governments, organizations, institutions. And that came from individual action that is generous. So that is networking, and that's why we can make a difference. And for that, we need a new mindset, open, and a new code. And I would like to make a difference, what is gender parity and what is gender equality. Gender parity, it refers to what is the metrics to assess if we have equality or not. But equality is about the values. What do we want? We want 50-50, women and men exactly the same. If you allow me, now I'm not represented G100 Global Networking, I am representing myself. And I allow myself to also to disagree, because I really think that we live in a chaos time for the world, and we need to be very careful when we are trying to make global standards. We are looking at global standards as an ambition, and then we see that we create more confrontation. Networking helps to create Vaseline in that processes of united people on diversity from their culture, their religions. We cannot expect to have an equal gender equality criteria. That's why networking is there, to show us what the difference are, what are the different choices that the women take different from men, what their culture or their religious they are telling them, not just impose them, what they really wanted to do. And for me, that is freedom. And freedom comes always for me before anything, the freedom to think, to act, and to realize that maybe policies that are good for gender equality focus are not good for them, because it doesn't apply to their life. Opportunities is the key word. That is the game changer, and networking could do that, could identify the difference on goals, on their profession, on their priorities, on their choices. Pandemics have given us that possibility to join together, and I'm seeing that. We have created a space, and now we have something different. And that is to be open-minded, to see how we are going to progress. And that evolution will lead us to a different stage. That's why I say parity, equality, maybe, but let's think of what each of us, what individual really wanted to do.
That is beautiful. I just love that. That is so powerful. Yes, we have our visions, but the visions come from each and every one of us. And at the end of the day, every person's want to be able to feel freedom. And as you said, Mar, freedom to think, freedom to do things. And in my being a grief specialist and a success coach, for me, it's also to even freedom to feel good in your heart, to be able to feel that your heart can be free, which is for a later discussions. But that is so beautiful, and it's create the freedom to be able to do what you need to do to contribute, like you said. And talking about contributions, that bring us to Laurie. Laurie is our Western region chair of the United States Global Networking. And Laurie is very much also with environmental giving back in circular way. Laurie, would you care to share in your with your expertise? How do you see people can create? How is it that being in a circular economy, being aware environmentally, play a role in us accomplishing the a thriving world for all and creating gender parity and gender equality?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm so grateful and honored to be a part of this group and all these beautiful women souls here together. So thank you. Yeah, I think we need to look no further than the environment we live in. It's not a male environment. Our ecosystem exists because there's both. And that's the duality, that's all of it. I mean, we see it everywhere. It's the natural order for there to be expression and representation of all genders in so many ways, and that it's something that we all win when we can bring that forward and express it and celebrate it and support it. It's just such a beautiful thing when we think of, you know, women are half of the world. And if they're diminished and their light is covered and they're not able to be their fullest expression of themselves, as a species, we are all missing out, because we need each and every woman to be everything that she can be, to bring forward all of that expression, and we all win from that. And I think that's part of what we need as a mindset to address global warming, to look at how we can, you know, move forward in a way that we really look at the totality and how we fit into things, not how we own things or run things or it's all for us, but how we really all share this space and we all win when that happens. So I'll talk later when we get into all the little pieces of how we do that. I've got a lot of ideas on that, but I think the first thing is the mindset of to just recognize the power of women and the beauty of women and to celebrate that, not just with women, but also recognizing and calling that forth with men that share some of these attributes of care and nurturing and love, that we're giving that a value and calling that forward, inviting them to participate with that aspect of themselves. Because just as it's in nature, there's male and female, it's also male and female within each of us to some degree in our expression, how we live, and the qualities we bring to our lives. So
yeah,
that's just all
I love that. That is so beautiful. That is very true. That many times we hear that kind of like there is a part of us that's in every person's the feminine and the masculine, and to like you said, Laurie, from the mindset to be able to realize that many times we have this so-called limited thinking, as many people call it, right? If we do this for the environment or do this for our community, then we are at loss. But while actually we are able to what about if it's a win-win? It's a win-win, and I know you are a pro in that, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And yes, it's not just women only or men only, but embracing each other and acknowledging each other. Which, talking about men and women and masculine and feminine, that takes us to our special guest of honor today, our special guest, Dr. Tooni. And Dr. Tooni is a physician, a coach, and a cartoonist. How many physicians who's also a cartoonist do you know in your life besides Dr. Tooni? So you definitely want to connect with her after this, because she has so many inspiring things. Even just her cartoon was, every single piece of it is very teaching and full of beautiful message delivered in a very fun way. But being a physician and an OBGYN, a gynecologist, and primary care as well, she is also well versed in educating in sex educations and women educations. Would you care to share some of your wisdom, Dr. Tooni, with us in this Women History Month and International Women's Day, on how you see understanding ourselves, really, because everybody is have a different sex, gender, and so forth, play a role in creating a thriving world for ourselves and for others.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tan, and everyone, for having me on this panel. I'm really excited to contribute to the conversation here. So my passion, and I'm very holistic in my approach to helping people heal and thrive and really live their best lives. So for me, that looks like really getting to know ourselves, being able to be open and with our emotional health and process that, because I know women face unfortunate stereotypes, but men also do too, with toxic masculinity. So all of us learning to embrace the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, that really will lead to thriving for everyone. So mental health is a big thing that I focus on, but it also ties in with sexual health, women's reproductive health, how you feel about your body, how you navigate your relationships. That's what I do in my coaching. We do self-love and relationship coaching. So I'm just really honored to do all that. And I think it's so important for us to be able to build this thriving world together and to better understand each other. It really starts with a lot of that love and confidence from within, and knowing who we authentically are, and then being able to share that and be vulnerable and truly connect with others on that deep level.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tooni. That is very, very much true. And to be able to love yourself first before you reach out there, and talking about the full spectrum life, that takes us to our very important, which is our being here. The reasons we could be all speaking is because we have a physical form, and that takes us to our Central Region's chair of G100 Global Networking United USA, which is Anne. Anne also is an expert in physical health in a similar but slightly different ways, and is a health coach. So, and I know you and your family, as well as so many people you have helped, has health journeys, so to say. Would you care to share with us how being able to be healthy, starting with perhaps one person or just an inspiration, it actually can create gender parity, gender equality, and also bringing good for all? You are muted.
Thank you so much, and it's been an honor to be here, be part of this wonderful group. And yes, thank you for that great question. My husband and I are both on a mission to empower men and women to reclaim their health. And so for me, with my experience in this health coaching, it's a big shift for me that there is no expectation of superiority and inferiority between men and women. There's equal dignity. And so what I've seen in our mission, that networking is so important because they become my friends, and with that, they become my family. And it's just so amazing how the ripple effect of connecting to other people, knowing who and what they really want to accomplish. It's not getting them to be our client, but how can we serve them authentically? So it starts really with the relationship. What are their goals? What do they want to create in life? And we are here as coaches to help them. Where do you want to be? To reach what's their goals in life, not just physical. Yes, it starts from physical, because with physical, if it's unhealthy, it will cause stress, all the tensions in life, and that stress will lead unhealthy decision, and that it will also break the relationship. So from my teaching experience, which I considered was my mission, I said, being a health coach is a great mission. I just shifted that. It's a great mission, not only that I was making impact to the students, but this time making impact to husbands and wives, and they create impact to their children. And for me, when they reclaim their health, it will continue to align health and mind, and even finances, because doctors now are, hospitalization is so expensive. So it leads to freedom, healthy body, mind, finances, emotional, spiritual, and it just go, and they just reclaim their life, living their purpose. And to be part of the transformation is so priceless.
That is so beautiful, and I love how you it's all, at the end of the day, it's all connected. Many times we feel we are a single individual, like would just that, but it's actually, the truth is we're always and will forever be connected. You know, the tree is connected to the ground, connected to the environment and the animals and us, and the same things. We even we think we are individual, we are connected, our mind, our body, our heart, and our result out there, and it connects to everybody. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Anne. So
Thank you.
yeah. And with, sorry, Laurie, you have a question? You're muted.
Oh, I was just going to ask you what your thoughts are on how does the gender equality benefit all of us? What do you think about that? You want to share?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, with my background being a grief specialist and life success coach, to me, everything starts in the foundations. In other words, it's like we all created of cells, so to say, and at the end of the day, and being a physician, Dr. Tooni know this, that the foundations of all life and the first organ to develop in your body is your heart. And also, not to be morbid, but many times after everything stops in our body, our heart can keep on going. So the foundations of being human, I say, the foundation of being human that make us able to truly connect with others, truly care of others, whether it is a person, an animal, or our environment, is our heart. Our heart is the foundations of everything. And if our heart is not in its best shape, if our heart has been traumatized by something that makes us scared, we talked about freedom earlier, about mindset earlier. Mark talked about freedom, and Laurie talked about mindset. Our heart has been shown by by many studies nowadays that our heart sends signals throughout our bodies, the way our brain sends signals, but the signals of from heart is much more intense, much more frequent, and up to 60 times stronger than the signals from your brain. So much so, I'm going to share just a brief story here of a client. A client came to me, this was about a decade ago, and she came to me, to a grief specialist, because she was grieving from losing her job. And she's losing her job because she was, her health has deteriorated, and that's secondary to her weight problem. And after just initial conversations and working with her for 1 week, and people usually work with me on these 6 to 8 weeks, we discovered that her weight problem started from a trauma that happened when she was a child. It was something where she witnessed, didn't happen to her personally. She witnessed, as she was walking down the street, she witnessed this beautiful woman, beautiful young woman being hollered and yelled by people on the street, then the man on the street, so to say. And this woman was scared, and she ran and she cried. My client went home, told her mom, "Oh, my mom, this is something happened. I'm scared." And mom said, "So don't worry about it." And she talked about it again. Mom said, "Don't worry about it." But then her mind listened to her mom and said, "Don't worry," but her heart was still traumatized. And being a 12-year-old girl, somehow her mind and heart says, "Well, if you never look like that woman, you will be just fine. Nobody will laugh at you." So guess what? Within 1 year, she went from a slim girl, very athletic, to overweight. And her weight has only gone up since then, regardless of what she did, even those special surgery to lose weight. And once we healed that, we healed the foundations. We went back within a few weeks, we addressed her grief, resolved it completely. With seemingly very effortlessly, she improved her health, she improved her heart, she improved her health, she improved her weight step by step in a healthy manner. But even more, that what she did not realize is actually that fear in her heart, the wound in her heart, has interfered her from having closeness to others, including a partner in her life, including being visible. So she plays small at work, and she reached management level, but if anytime somebody gives her some new opportunities, she self-sabotage and back off. And so the heart, to me, is the foundation. Just like when you buy a house or build a house, you want to get a good foundations. It is something that we want to have a beautiful foundations in our heart. So that is the way I say, you come from your heart, and anything in your heart exudes out and reach out to all of the others. And talking about reaching out and what's in our heart will allow us to connect. I want to go back to Mar. Mar, being the leader of the global networking, and I love your thought and share earlier. Do you have any thoughts, any advice, any tips for all of us on how we are able to connect better, to be able to reach more freedom, to be able to create a global community the way that you lead us in the global networking? What are some really key points when we're connecting with each other?
Thank you, Brigitte. I would like, if you let me, to fix that contradiction. No? I am leading leaders, so that's not possible. I'm not leading leader. All of you are leaders, so it's not possible to lead you. The idea is to join. That is my role. No, the creating cohesion. That is really a challenge. And one of the challenge, and now you're going to by your own, you're going to get that tips now through my challenge. Creating cohesion. How do you create cohesion with people that you have never met, that you only are in social media, different cultures, different parts of the world, different interpretation? Social media is wonderful, it's enlightening, inspire, but also is a source of contradictions, of confrontation, of wrong interpretation. And why that happened? Because we are not good on skills in communication. We are not good. We are only good on communication when there is in a specific and certain area and expertise. And when they take us from our comfort zone, there are problems. It doesn't matter if we work with another culture, if there is a framework For example, a company that you work for, you're a consultant, so you know exactly the rules. And all the time when I have to nominate people to become national chair, they demand me the rules. What are the rules? And our rule is to be free. And it's so disappointing to see that the people, I don't know if it's too tough to say that they don't want to be free, but they don't know how to be free. We haven't been educated to be free. We have been educated to follow rules. And a global war also that is there to keep the balance, that we could have a SDG 5 there that is global, but adapted locally. It doesn't came that way, or the people are looking at the global goal and how to adapt it to locally, and it's the other way around. Is how we establish and we implemented that goal, and then how the impact, and we create union among others in the world. In the case of SDG, among nations. No? For networks, maximizing the power of volunteering. That is one of the key. The people still think that volunteering is part of your spare time. No, you have your free time, so 1 or 2 hours, and not part of your profession, inserted in networks. When you professionally and personally, you became part of that social media. Only when you be part of that puzzle, even a small part, a small piece, is when you really fit in a networking. But it doesn't work that way, and that is to open the mindset. So that's why I never, we are going to write the rules. I don't want to write rules for global networking. Yeah, it's funny, but it's tragic in terms of implementation of what is a global networking. But I don't want to make rules. The rules have to be ethics. The rules have to be respect, tolerance. But have to be very wise, so to let the people to do their own, to connect from different networks. That is another tip. Don't be fixed to a specific area. So we are women empowerment. So we go to a women empowerment organization that have their own rules and they are all women. No, this is an organization when we have different networks. I love to say that we are the network of networks. You know? So what that means that we are learning from other networks, not only from people, from other networks, how they work. So that is a new dimension, a complete new dimension. And the only tip that I think is key is be yourself when you connect. Just do it voluntary, mix your personal and professional aspects on that network. Don't hesitate to enter in different networks. Don't follow the rules, try to be creative, make proposal. Now is allowed that. And I think maybe I should have prepared a story as you asked me, Brigitte, and you will forgive me for that. Because in global networking, the stories are you, and you, because are all doing in different ways, in different nature, are contributing to a global networking. So for me, it's very difficult to find one story. My pleasure, my success is to find a way to gather all the stories together.
I just love that. That is so amazing. I love how you say it's with the last piece that you said in a networking. The story is each and every one of us come together. And then also there are sometimes people talk about they want to be free and then they don't know how to be free. And that's very true. Or sometimes people don't even realize, I would say, that they are not free. So that is very, very, very true as well. That is so beautiful. And I love that you say there is no rule. So for any for all the other US delegates here, I don't know if you catch that. There is no rules with that. So we can start going out and throwing block party as we peace. I'm just kidding. So Uh, but that is so true, and sometimes we and some other time, like you said, Mar, we know the importance, we want to do it, but we don't know how to do it, which bring us back actually to Laurie earlier. Laurie was going to share, says she's going to share. Sometimes we are right. I mean, in our mind, we're aware. Yes, environmental is important. We can see the weather changing. We know that it's important to support each other, but we don't know how. So Laurie, share with us, if you don't mind, so a few tips or a story on how we might be able to be there for each other and persons, but also even for our art, our universe, so to say, our world.
Oh, that's a good question. And as I was listening to Mar, I love what you had to share. That's just so true. We don't need rules. There's so many ways. And really what came to mind was a spiritual teaching story or a question that I had read many years ago that just resonated so deeply with me. And the person was asking, why do we have so many religions in the world? And so many think they're the right one. And why are there so many? And the answer they received was an analogy of, think of it as a mountain. And if you're trying to get to the top of the mountain, there's so many different ways that you can get there. There's not a one right way. They all lead to the same, and people need different things at different points in their lives, different frameworks for looking at things. They're having different need for support. And I think that's true too, when we're looking at how do we create the change that we want? How can we involve people so that they can bring to the equation what it is are their special gifts and talents and perspectives? And how do we call that forth in a way that allows it to happen? And, you know, my background is in social work. So I, you know, part of what we learn about is the micro and the macro, and how do you create change? And, you know, at the micro level, and as a therapist, I specialize in that because that's really the interpersonal dynamics of, you know, how do you do it on that level? And then the macro is, how do you have these system changes? You know, with global networks, with governments, with all these social movements and all these things. And the truth is that we can do all of it to some degree. We can participate in that in where we choose to invest our money as consumers. Do we want to support women-owned businesses? Do we want to promote other women? Do we want to make sure that their voice is heard in our workplace, in our social circles, where we call them out and we celebrate them and we acknowledge their point of view, we validate them, we build up their confidence, we support them. And on the national level, do we want to work to promote and vote for women to be in positions of power and decision making? How do we want to do this at all these different levels? And there's just so many ways. There's not any one way. And we also want to tap into, how are we being as we do that? Are we doing this from a point of anger, which it's easy to go to? Or are we doing it from a position of love and joy and celebration? And the other thing that came to mind was a study that possibly Brigitte and Dr. Tooni, you're aware of, but they've done plenty of studies about the human body's response to stress. And they came up with this whole idea of fight or flight, right? With the autonomic versus the autonomic. I mean, anyway, so the different flight responses. But what they didn't disclose initially was that was based on men, those studies. What they found when they studied women's response to stress was women began to network. Women began to talk to other women. That was their stress response, was to begin to talk and create these social connections. So this is very much a part of what women bring to our world today, that we need to embrace and acknowledge and celebrate and call forth. So I think that we are well equipped as a species to do this and to bring it forward. And we do have the tools. And I'm just delighted to be able to just be a part of this group and to weigh in on this. And I just love hearing what everyone is saying. So that's all I have to say on the matter right now.
I love that. That is so beautiful, and that is very true. That we all have different response, and many studies out there. We know that the Tooni is aware of this drug dosing, for instance, medication dosing is done using men at certain weight and all these things. And then you wonder why some women take the medication, they feel sicker because of the overdosing or what have you. And like you said, the response on everyone is different on how we respond to, and when women feel stressed, they actually seek out, because women are built and designed to create community. Think about our great grandparents back in the cave, and so women need to gather together. I have a funny confessions. Now that you say that, I have a funny confessions actually. I'm ready for my confession. So I'm putting my house on sale. I'm moving out of state. And of course, putting a house on sale is a stressful thing. Well, guess what I did after deciding everything and all this jumble and such, talking about creating connections. Guess what I did? I live on my own with my cat. I have people here, but the next thing I did is, some of you might have seen this. I just go to my connections, put the house online, and share it with all my network. And I'm like, that's exactly right, Laurie. When I have stress, I just connect with everybody. Hey, look at my house on sale. Oh, my little confession. So, but talking about understanding the difference between men and women, that brings back us to Dr. Tooni. Dr. Tooni, do you care to share about, with our audience, a little more understanding about the women body, the men and women's difference?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I believe instead of fight or flight for women, it's the tend and befriend response. It's great they come up with those terms, right? But actually, there are a lot of various responses. You might freeze, you might fawn. That typically is a more women feature of people pleasing, of being overly apologetic or overly tending to the other person, but sometimes at the expense of ourselves and sacrificing ourselves. So, but it is interesting. It's not to say that we don't sometimes have fight or flight. Sometimes too, we have varying levels. It depends on our hormonal and genetic makeup. So some women who have higher levels of testosterone might find themselves leaning towards a more aggressive response. And then whereas for men, if they have other hormones, then they may respond in a more nurturing way or connecting. So it's really the individual. And I think I'll share the perspective later, but I think that we're really not so different after all. Of course, we have our differences. I don't know if, with gender equality, it's tough because we're trying to get to that 50-50. Women can do everything that men can. And, but it sometimes has led us to this opposition sort of, and feeling like we're at war with each other. And that's not the intention. It's really to remember we're all on the same side here, and we have a lot of similarities, and a lot more similarities that connect us all more so than differences. And this goes across different religions, cultures, views, and really our genetic makeup. We share 99% of our DNA too. So just remembering that we're all connected, I think, is an important tip I would share and put out there. But really, I want to also emphasize what comes to mind for me is just the importance of talking and sharing. And I know women are better at this than men are typically, but it's also more societally accepted too for women to share and try to share our burdens. And men are just usually told to just toughen up and get through it. And the more stoic you are, sometimes then the more you're seen favorably. But really sharing is really, really healing, because a lot of times the pain or whatever that happens to us in our lives and our experiences, it's made worse by the suffering we feel afterwards when we feel so isolated, and misunderstood. There's not possibly anyone who can truly understand what I've been through or share in the experience until we share it with somebody and we find out, wow, they really can see me, they can really understand, or even that they've gone through something similar too. And that's just our human nature, that we are social creatures. We're wired to connect, and that actually is really healing. I will share that study on babies and infants. They actually fail to thrive. So I think it was an alarming amount, maybe 50% of babies just stopped growing and even passed away if I think it was an experiment back in the day, if they did not get enough human touch, if they weren't held, if they were given all of the physical nutrients with food, and they should have kept growing and should have kept surviving, but missing that critical human element of touch and connection with another living soul. It's surprising how much that affects our just everything. So sharing and really sharing and finding that safety, because of course if we share with an unsafe person or an unsafe environment or space, that can re-traumatize us sometimes, or it can do more harm than good. So I would say sharing selectively, such as in this safe community and these platforms, or with professionals who are then trained to to talk about these sensitive topics. So I really encourage everybody to just reach out if you're suffering, that you don't need to go through pain alone in silence.
That is so beautiful. I strongly believe that you, many times when we are going through things, firstly, many people has a tendency, because of partly because Mar says earlier how social media can be very beneficial, can also be very dangerous, because whenever anybody says something, everybody say, be strong. And then they're like, oh, I got to be strong. Okay, if I'm not being strong, maybe I should be quiet here. And then so many people suffer in silence, while actually I do a grief chat for free on a couple times a week for that reasons. That many times when you speak out in the right environment with the right guidance, you find that there is a relatability. And you know, one thing very interesting I do learn from this working with people who are grieving. Yes, we all have different response and things, but like you said, Dr. Tooni, we are 99% the same, men and women. And even you can see that even with grief, at the end of the day, man might have the fight or more fight or flight or something. But when everybody kind of like get into that very deepest state, even men, even gentlemen connect out and say, I'm so glad I can find someone who can relate to me. But there is true, the physically we all often look quite different, and sometimes we have different physical needs. And that brings us back to Anne, actually, and talking about the physicals and being a health coach. And what are some of your tips that you might care to share on people, on creating their thriving physical body such that they will be able to bring out to others and our world, our environment, and create a thriving world for all, and create a more equal opportunity and parity?
Thank you. First, men and women both needs to be healthy, right? And so in my experience with my husband, Taylor, I really treasure that because we complement each other. His gifts is different. His gifts are different than mine. And with that, with our clients, men and women, he usually deals with men. And I usually deal with women, and we celebrate their wins together. And I could see his perspective is really completely different from me. So that's why we complement. How do you see this, hon? And so, oh, I can see this. For me, I would say lots of words. And for him, it's just 3 words and it's concise, right? So I really learn a lot from his perspective, and he would ask me, what do you think of this client? How can we serve this client? And so for me, there is a complementary with the God-given talents and strength that we have. And that made our health coaching very fun and very productive. We make impact together in a different way, but in a harmonious way. So we do the same with our clients who became coaches. They also reach out, they also help other couples, men and women, to really discover their why. What do they want to create in their life and to live their potential and be thriving, live to their fullest and be happy. That's the best version that we can have. So for me, it's a great complementary.
That is so beautiful to be able to be complementary and also to know your why. It's definitely is very important for us to be able to know your why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be free? Why do you care about the environment? Why do you care about others? And what is your why is always a really I would say fundamental for everything. Why do you want to get better? Some people don't know, and when we don't know, we kind of like spinning around in the sea. I call it in the sea of doldrums, right? So even when we're creating success, talking about success earlier, when we're creating success, it's the same things. You might it kind of like almost like if you go to school and you go to school just because you have to go to school. And then many times we see with our children or grandchildren, or maybe back thinking about ourselves, we kind of like, okay, well, I got to go to school because mom and dad say I got to go to school. Oh my goodness. Versus, okay, I want to go to school and I want to accomplish this. I want to become a doctor because I want to become a doctor, not because somebody says you got to become a doctor, or because I want to do this, or I want to create a company as an entrepreneur. Then we have our why. And then like you said, and I love that how you allow support and feedback from each other. Even when you're serving other, you ask your husband, how do you do this? And he asks you because nobody built an empire alone, really. It's the other secret of success, to be able to allow support, to be able to receive feedback and receive guidance. That is so beautiful. And as we complete our time here today in here, I just want to invite everyone to share their final message. We will start with our global chair, Mar. Do you have a final message for all of us, or our audience who listens to this on creating a thriving world for men and women and everyone and everything in between?
Thank you, Brigitte. Yes, my reflection is, do we have global leaders? Do we have global institutions? Do we have global organization? Think of this. What means global? Global is empowering societies via only one code. A global leader means that is capable to handle with all conflicts and find a solution. This is what we have currently. Well, I do not think so. I think that we are centralizing what is power without delivering the correct solution. So what is really global? A networking like this one. This one is the real global concept, because we create a global code. What means a global code? What we are doing today. We are gathering different cultures, religions, tradition, but we are all together, complementing one to each other without any standard. We don't have a standard, we don't have rules, as we said before. So through that freedom is that we are building a new dimension that we don't know how to do it, but we are implementing it. So, and that's why we need to create a new concept, and that's why I write about that on globalization, because the bottom-up initiatives are the ones that are so weak, not because they can't hold the power, but they haven't realized, citizens individually, they haven't realized how much power they could have if they use social media, simple as that, using technology in a very simple way. They're scared that I don't have the skills to do it. Networking, I could do networking through my work field. But what about using the minimum standards of what is technology, but jump into what is this global code of being together and creating solutions that are aligned with a global institution or not, but using that beautiful critical thinking and share with others, and especially this he for she and she for he, this harmonically inequality in terms of what is needs, what is choices, but creating a level of equality only on what is opportunities. So just the final message is, we don't have time for gender equality precisely as we want it, with that ambitious way that we want it. We need peace. And to build peace and stability, we need to create a level that is above that, a level where there is no confrontation. We are able to open our mind and accept what we cannot change, accept what is the other one. So before gender, let's be tolerant. Let's accept others and build peace before we build other ambitious projects that we cannot hold it yet.
Oh, that is such an amazing, the amazing message. That is just so beautiful. That at the what is the highest level that will allow us to at all encompassing. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Mar. And Laurie, what would you care to share your final message?
Yes, I really agree with what Mar was sharing, and that was wonderful. I think everything she said, I just agree with, especially the use of technology. I mean, this time that we are living in right now just affords us so much opportunity to connect with people all over the world. I mean, just the example of Dr. Tooni being in Vietnam as we speak, how cool is that? And to learn about the work of different organizations and people and thoughts and ideas that we can expose ourselves to and participate in on so many levels. This is an amazing time. I mean, there's so much work to do, but there's so many opportunities and ways to get involved. Organizations like Women for Women, where you can sponsor one woman, you know, and to learn about her life and support her, and to participate in organizations like Emily's List that promote, you know, women in positions of government. There's just so many different ways that we can get involved. And I think that that's really amazing. I don't think we've ever been able to leverage ourselves and connect in so many ways to support one another and to move this forward, that I think this is just a very special time. It's got its challenges, but it's a very special time of opportunity. So I'm just glad to be able to be a part of it and to share this with all these wonderful people.
Thank you. That is so beautiful. Yes, you can choose. We all have choices at the end of the day, and you can choose how you want to be and who you want to support, and think about the trickle effect of things that you do and to support. If for our audience who's been listening to this, I just want to share something a little bit fun. I don't know if you noticed this, but the audience, you might have noticed that all of us wear purple today. In all different hues, and that is in honor, talking about choosing, we choose to wear purple today in all different hues as an honor to the color of the year for the Women History Month. But I just thought I'll throw that out a little bit. So and that brings us to Dr. Tooni. Yes, exactly. Bring us to Dr. Tooni on how do you care to share a final message for our audience in creating this wonderful, thriving thriving world for ourselves as well as for all others in this world.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I would say exactly agree with what everyone has said, and just piggybacking off of all of that. Truly, there are so many opportunities, and everyone, I believe, really is so powerful. Like, we are so unique and special, and we can change the world in a way that only we can. And so if you're not feeling powerful, or if you're feeling just overwhelmed or stuck in shame, or wondering if you're broken, not at all, or feeling weak, like, you can step into that. Just find the support, reach out. Different ways work for different people. So it may not be actually speaking. It could be in expressing yourself through art, like I do, or nonverbal, or through dance, or some kind of creative way. But just find your outlet, find your way, find a way to channel your inner power and to share that beautiful energy with the world. And yeah, no matter where you are and what circumstances you were born into. I'm in Vietnam now, and really seeing some levels of poverty, and just really, and it breaks my heart, really, that sometimes some people are dealt more opportunities, a hand with more opportunities. But I truly believe that if we really do our best to share our gifts, because we all have gifts, then at some point, if you keep working towards it, you will be recognized for it, and you'll be able to be, especially now in the online space, be able to have that opportunity to really, just change our world even just a little bit for the better. So keep trying out there, and you are worthy, you are wonderful. Just please never doubt that.
That is so beautiful. Yes, just know that you are worthy, you are wonderful, and you have it in you to create the change that you would love to create. And what about you, Anne? Is there a final message you'd like to share with our audience?
Just really would like to say that each one of us is a very important puzzle, and today matters. There's no wrong action at the right time. And for us to awaken our purpose, our talents, our abilities and strength, we can put it together and make an impact in the world, wherever we are, whatever we do. And that is the best legacy that we can give, to live our best life.
That is so beautiful. I would say that I so agree with that. And I would say, back to what Mar says earlier, it starts with going above, actually even higher, going above all this interest is to come from peace. I would quote that Mahatma Gandhi, as well as His Holiness Dalai Lama, where Gandhi says, become what you want to be. And talking about peace, is the Dalai Lama says that, to be able to be peace, you need to be starting with you, where you are, back in you. And so with me, allow your heart to be at peace. Start with your heart, the foundations of us, what make us in this modern day, where nowadays, particularly lately, where the robot, the artificial intelligence can do so many things. At the end of the day, one thing that makes us human is our heart. And when we have robot looking like us, the one that they don't have is the love that comes from your heart. And so allow your heart to be free, allow your heart to be open, allow your heart to be healed and to be at peace. And with that, I'd love to thank everyone who has joined us today. Please do share your comments, your thoughts in the comment below. Message each and every one of us independently if you'd love to. We'll have the contact informations, and please share this with your friends and families, because we all deserve and love to be able to thrive, not just survive. Welcome to Cracking the Code for Thriving for All event by the United States G100 Global Networking, and our guest of honor, Dr. Tooni.